Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Festival Foods, Legit Pizza, Capital Credit Union, Amplify Health, and Miller Lite.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
Pump up the savings with Festival Foods Gas Rewards. How does it work? Simple. Grab your card in store. Register online. Get points for every grocery run. Then roll up the Quick Trip and watch the prices roll back. Festival Foods Gas Rewards.
Shut up and sit down.
What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in the Inside Wisconsin podcast here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas, a hatless Dario Melendez. I'm not sure what to do with that. And Dom Contronio.
Hey, I'm working here. We're out in spring training.
Yeah, looks good on you. You guys are in the sun. Yeah, okay.
I got to put the shades on, bro.
Yeah, happy for
You're rubbing it in too much, man. Look, for Trevor and I, we got to get a little more sunscreen this time of year down here, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, where's the hat, man? That's my look. Oh, you're working. Got it.
Hey, man, I'm not too far off from you guys. Believe me.
Well, you're hiding it well. Dom Contronio joining us. Dom, can you tell us all, like, I looked up what you're all involved with. We don't have that much time. So how do you just summarize what it is that you got your hands in with the Brewers?
You know, I just got my taxes back last night, and it's just like, yeah, wow, that's a lot of, rows of income of just like different places that it comes in from. But if we make it work, it's a lot going on in a lot of different places. In simplest form, I'm the pre and post game host on 620 WTMJ for the Brewers all season long. And then I also do some content on the side with WTMJ. We have Thursday night shows. On top of that, I'm the statistician researcher for Brewers telecasts. So I'm the guy handing over the note cards over to BA and Jeff, trying to make them sound smart, make everybody, enjoy the game a little bit differently. And I also do that for BA on a national scale, too, with all of his TBS baseball and some other odd jobs along the way. But that's the core three right there.
Trevor, he's also one of the best caddies at Aaron Hills, by the way. Let's not skip over that. He is a caddy at Aaron Hills and like one of the best ones out there. So I don't know he wants to be, I'm this big. No, he is big time caddy material over here.
Dario, I was going to say that nobody knows more about the Milwaukee Brewers than Dom. Like, I understand what I do for 100%. That dude knows everything about everything. So that's why we wanted to do an entire Brewers season preview episode with me and Dario and Dom, because Dario and I aren't going to talk, and we're just going to listen to whatever Dom has to say about what the season is. So as we jump into that, rather than just jump in cannonball style to 2026, we heard Christian Yelich talk about how they literally flushed last season. So what is it that they maybe can carry over from last season that's worth hanging on to?
I think the way in the style of play that the Brewers have. Now, we know, just like any other league, it becomes a copycat league at some point, right? Like, you look in the NFL, you see the spread offense, and you see the slot, and you see the mesh patterns on offense has led that to become an explosion. In the NBA, you see, the proliferance of drawing fouls and being able to get to the free throw line. Those have been copycats. There's people in the baseball industry that think, like, people are going to start copying the Brewers because it's such a valid way to play the game. Play great defense, have great pitching always available in the pipeline. And if your offense isn't the best in the world, it's no big deal because you're, holding runs, and a run saved is the same as a run scored in the eyes of the Brewers, which is why they continue to model everything off their defense, being able to prevent base runners, being able to steal bases when they're on the bags, put the ball in play. Nothing is worse than a strikeout in the Brewers' eyes. But at the same time, it's a game that is not balanced right now, but at the same time, I think the Brewers are really set up for success this year and beyond.
And Dom, they do that because Matt Arnold is always making moves. Obviously, you know it better than anybody. He values young, controllable players that are cheap at the moment, but you're going to have them in the system for a while. What have you thought of the moves they made this offseason? And you've seen some of the guys already here in the spring.
I was always on the boat of not trading Freddie Peralta. I said that as soon as the offseason began, because if they traded Freddie Peralta, it was going to be an offer they couldn't refuse, and that's exactly what happened. It was not about a money-saving thing. It was not about like, oh, well, he's only got 1 year remaining, so we got to make sure we get something out of it. It was not that. They got an offer they could not refuse in two big league-ready players. Now, I don't know if Jet Williams is going to be on this opening day roster given the signings they've made recently, But then Brandon Sproat's going to pitch in the big leagues this year, whether it's on the opening day roster or at some point in the middle of the year. To get 6 years of control out of him, 6 years of control out of Jet Williams for 1 year of Freddie Peralta is how this team does its job. You know that, Dario, where they value just always having something ready. Think about all these teams, even like a team that I think of as the Atlanta Braves, right? Last year, they have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of injuries on the pitching staff. Chris Sale is, one of the best pitchers on the planet, but yet they didn't have anything else behind their pitchers, and they didn't have anything else behind their injured players. Now, injuries are part of the game. It stinks, but like the Brewers lose Garrett Mitchell early in the season. They lose other arms early in the season and didn't even bat an eye. They were able to rebound and be in first place by the end of June, which I think is fascinating.
Dom, it's easy for us to just jump into the weeds as we look forward to the Brewers season. You guys are there at spring training, and we want to know all the things about all the things. Yet pause for a moment and just take us 30,000-foot level on the organization from a fan's perspective, right? That's what we try really hard to do is tell the non-statistical stories on Inside Wisconsin. So Dario mentioned it, whether it's budget or trades and good offers. As a fan, how do we look at the Brewers franchise just in comparison to others that we see, like those pesky bastards in blue out in L.A.?
Yeah, I think the reality is the economics of the sport are not in balance right now. And that's just a fact of the world that we're fighting right now, with maybe baseball labor being on a stoppage next year. Who knows what's going to happen there? But the point being, what I love about the Brewers and what I love about their front office and why I believe in it and I think it works so well is because it's not their responsibility to fix the sport or take their ball and go home like maybe some owners do, where they're like, oh, we can't compete with that. We're not even going to spend any money. The Brewers say, okay, well, what if we figure out other ways that we can spend and maybe do things on the periphery that other teams aren't doing? Find the leading edge, find the bleeding edge, as some would say, to be, okay, player development is what we're known for. Being able to be savvy on the coaching staff and on the behind the scenes staff, and being able to invest in a facility like this in spring training. One of the small underrated pieces about this spring training facility is that it's just the Brewers here.
Yes.
They have the entire complex to themselves. That can't be said the same for some other teams. So they have total control of whatever they want to do here. And I think it's fascinating that you can see from the top down how the Brewers have focused on, okay, we're never going to have a $400 million payroll, but what are we going to do about it in the meantime? They're not throwing their hands in the air and saying we can't compete. And I think that's just such an admirable thing to do when so many teams are doing the exact opposite.
Don, that's a great point. Like their investment in the Dominican Republic, their investment here in the pitching lab. And again, they can do that because they don't have to share it like a lot of the other teams out in Arizona do with another team. And the guy that kind of heads that up is Matt Arnold. Like he's become one of my favorite people that I've ever been around in baseball. I know you've gotten to deal with him a lot. What do you think about him? Like, what is your relationship with like him been like?
Yeah, Matt's been a really savvy baseball guy. And I think that's a very important definition to make, because the trend we've seen in baseball anyway is so many guys have, are more of the David Stearns archetype, where, hey, genius on the spreadsheet, really good, but still enjoys the game of baseball, obviously, and played baseball in his younger days. But, Matt, I just have a little bit more credit for a guy that was a scout, put, on the road, put time in away from the family, like doing it the hard way. Becoming the quantitative stuff is good and everything, but being able to evaluate, qualitatively, being able to say like, I don't like what that guy did to his teammate in the dugout, or I love this guy's actions getting on and off the field. Like being able to identify the little baseball things, I think is so important. And it, again, trickles down. Like there are obviously the nerds, as we say, that take care of the processing and take care of the, projections and that sort of thing. But there's still plenty of baseball people that have learned to adapt some of those number stuff into their teachings. And I think Matt's the perfect blend of that in this modern game.
Okay, holy hell, we got to slow down. There's a lot going on here. A lot. I want to make sure we cover a number of different things that you mentioned right at the top that you have your hands in. One of them, which is when I met you for the first time, was that you sit next to BA or Jeff Levering and hand off stats. What and how do you do that?
I know how to use a couple of really cool websites, and I have good handwriting. That's literally the job requirement. That's all you need to do. Honestly, it's a really funny story. So 2019, I was in AA broadcasting on a daily basis in the minor leagues and was set to go back in 2020 with the team I was with. I was really excited. I was with the Astros organization in Corpus Christi, Texas. And then 2020 happens. We all know what happened in 2020. So I get laid off, have to figure out what to do. Basically, everyone takes a gap year in the baseball world because the minor league season was canceled. And in January, I just had this thought of like, man, I'm going to move back to North Carolina where I previously had spent time in the minor leagues. And you know what? No one's traveling. No one's doing anything. I'm going to take a gap year. I'm going to go back to North Carolina. I'm going to caddy at Pinehurst. You know, I've always been a golf nerd and like, yeah, they're always hiring. It's going to be a big year for golf. Everyone fell in love with the game. I told that to Brian Anderson, who's been a mentor of mine for a very long time. I said, hey, I think I'm going to do this. Like, what do you think about this? He goes, forget that. You're moving to Wisconsin. I'm like, what? I've never even stepped foot in Wisconsin. Like, I've never even thought about this. Like, no, I need a stats guy for like 40 games. And no one's traveling. So even in those games that you're not working, go into the empty booth and work on your craft and go do the game into a tape recorder and stay sharp that way. And it was the best decision of my life, aside from, getting engaged to my current fiance. So the point being is
smart move.
Exactly.
I was going to
say, gotta have the
disclaimer.
disclaimer.
Not the best decision.
Gotta have the disclaimer. But,
Nailed it.
moving up here, sight unseen, 2021, BA just rolling out the red carpet for me. Jeff, I had met previously in our travels and across spring training and everything, and just basically said, "Here you go do your best," and trusted me to do it. I'd done it in college. I had done it for some other odd jobs along the way. Like it wasn't like I was never been a talent researcher, but the producers took a liking to me. Our graphics team took a liking to me. BA, Jeff, Rock, everybody did, and that role slowly expanded and. Then it became a right place, right time. I miss him dearly. Aaron Charlton, who was the guy I was helping take care of on the stats side with BA. He was BA's regular stats guy. Aaron tragically passed of cancer in 2021. And I was in the right place at the right time that I got to fill in for AC whenever, his games had to be put up on the block. And then, here I am still 5 years later getting ready for year 6.
Dom, what did that mean to you that BA trusted you with that? Because that's an important part of the job, like having those fun facts at hand, because baseball, it's a long game and there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of air you need to fill. What did it mean to you that he put that trust in you?
It's an honor, and it's something I don't take lightly at all. I tell him every day that I'm grateful for him thinking of me, and he's just been more than a mentor to me, right? I mean, he's really like another father to me. He's just been so incredible and taking care of me and all that stuff. But like the thing I tell people about my job, and everyone thinks it sounds cool, and it is. Like I'm not complaining about it in the slightest. But the most important thing to remember about this job is I got to be 100%. I can't make a mistake because if there's any hesitation from BA or Jeff, like, is this right? And then like that's where the trust erodes immediately. So I'm the one that's doing the triple, quadruple checking so that they have the confidence that as soon as I hand over a note, they know it's 100% accurate and they can say it. My goal, like honestly, my goal is always to make Rock go, really? And like that's if ever I can find something that like makes them no way, that's not true. And I can say like, no, here you go. I show you my work, like 11th grade calculus. That's what I'm all about here. Where it's just like you find some crazy stat and no way, really, and then sure enough, thank goodness for these awesome baseball reference websites.
Dom, you're the third person in a week that has brought up Brian Anderson in this form. You, Vinny Rotino, and Doug Gottlieb, all three of you guys have said that at some point in our career, BA was a guy that didn't ask. He demanded that this is, and that's incredible for a guy that's now, to your point, on the national level. Not to say that, guys like Dario and others weren't there or aren't there, but I'm blown away by how often this story comes up about this one individual over and over and over again. It's really cool. So thanks for sharing that. All right. So what happens when you get one wrong? That's had to have happened.
You put your hand up and you say, my bad. Like, I mean, you own it. You grab it immediately. You like crumple it up and throw it away and just move on, move on, move on. Like, yeah, of course I've made a mistake before. Everybody's made a mistake before in their job, but it's just like, trust me, I feel worse than BA says it now. Like in the playoffs, I'll be honest. Like I'm a little more gun shy in the playoffs. So where it's just like, we have a lot more support. I have a Slack channel up with some other like deeper bureaus that help us do deep research. And it's just like, everyone's throwing things out there. And it's kind of, I'm the final filter of like, does this matter? Like, does this, but like, honestly, I'm sitting there in game 4 of the NLCS last year next to BA, Ron, and Frenchie. And Shohei Ohtani's having the greatest game of all time. While deep down, I'm like, dang it, I'm going to have to talk about Shohei Ohtani eliminating the Milwaukee Brewers while I'm sitting here as a baseball fan going like, oh my
This
God,
is
this is the
cool.
best game ever. And this is insane. If for other 29 other fan bases, like, oh my God, it's the best game ever. But the one fan base I work for in serve toward, like, are you kidding me? Like, how do I talk about this?
Bro, that's how I felt. I'm out in they put us in like the nosebleeds out in left field. I'm like, man, the Brewers are gonna get swept, but this is cool. Like what is happening right now is really cool. That said, I mean, what's the coolest fun fact, coolest stat you ever got to hand over to BA or anybody that you've been working with?
It's fun. I get this question often. I don't really think about it because it's just like I'm always thinking about the next one and the next one and the next one. I think what I'm really good at is just finding ways to bring the old into the new. And I think all these names that pop up whenever I do a Jackson Churio search based on his age, being 21 or younger in the show and have back-to-back 2020 seasons has never been done before. And there was a stat that I found last year. Now, he got hurt, so we didn't get a chance to do it, but there was a chance that Jackson Churio could have had like the most extra base hits before his 22nd birthday in Major League Baseball history. And that surpasses a list that includes Ted Williams, that it surpasses, like Ty Cobb. Like it's like when you're talking about those names and you're thinking about that guy's a Brewer, like that's where your brain just kind of stops computing for a second.
Note to self, don't go to trivia night with Dom Contronio. Bad idea.
It's funny
or make
too,
him put his
like,
phone away.
it's funny too because like when it comes to all the research, there's so much stuff that doesn't get into the show. There's so much stuff that gets written on a note card but never gets handed over because whatever was looking for didn't happen. So yeah, I've got a photographic memory, thank goodness. So I've got a lot back there ready to go in case I get into a sports trivia match.
I mean, that's a great point because look, when I was doing Sports Center, it's crazy. It's almost been like a decade ago. We had statisticians on all of our shows, and they would hand us cards, and like the card had 8 to like 15 fun facts on them. And at first, I'm like, I got to get through as many of these as possible because they're awesome. But then you realize you pick the one or maybe two that you read, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. Because if you think it's crazy, other people are going to think it's crazy. And I'm guessing you kind of run into that when you're even finding these stats. Like you probably find a bunch, Dom, but it's the one that's like, that's cool, that you really got to get out there.
For sure. It's the leave room for wow. It's the
Yeah.
just allowing yourself to be impressed with something. Because look, as a numbers guy, as somebody who understands that side of it, I'm cautious of that. I don't want to get lost in it. I know I'm speaking a foreign language to some fans where it's like, I don't care about his OPS. Batting average is the only thing that matters. Or it's like, his ERA is a 4. How could he possibly be a good pitcher? But then at the same time, it's like, well, when we're being able to contextualize it, always adding context is so important to any stat we're giving. If I just say a guy hit, 280, you don't really know without the context of like, well, 300 is really good and that sort of thing. So I think being able to connect with like, why is this important and why is this supposed to make you say, wow, has to do with maybe why it's related to past players, past generations, guys that you already know. Anytime I say Robin Yount with Jackson Churio, anytime I say Paul Molitor with Christian Yelich, like that's an easy connection to make for Brewers fans.
So I'm learning that Dario is a huge golfer, big time golfer, right? Oh yeah, there it is. Aaron Hill's on the shirt. Yeah, okay, rub it in. Missed. What am I going to say? Oh, inside Wisconsin on the shirt.
A little you Muni player. Munis. What a loser.
I was unaware of how awesome what I would call virtual golf is. So when Dario and I first decided that we were going to do this together, I came down to Mequon and we went to this spot called X Golf, which, by the way, killer spot.
Oh, awesome.
Amazing bar. All the Miller Lights I could have possibly wanted in a safe way, which helped my golf game, but I digress. But there was something to golfing at X Golf with you that actually felt like golf because it was A, legendary, those screens and the accuracy legendary, and B, Miller Lite at my fingertips.
Everywhere.
Bottles, taps, whatever you want, it's there for you. What got you so heavy other than winter, because that's real? What got you so heavy into the X Golf side of your life?
Becoming a Wisconsinite. Like golf is huge here. We have 10 top 100 courses that all have Miller Lite flowing everywhere, which is awesome. But you can only play 6 months out of the year. So I always get into a really, really nice groove, like the end of July into August. I'm like hitting my stride, and then season is over. So I found X Golf, and the owners, Luke and Sean, are amazing. They have a bunch of locations around the state, I think 4 altogether. And again, as you mentioned, huge bars. Like it's not just like you go there and the simulator, and the simulators are great, but huge bars with everything you can think of. Miller on tap, Miller Lite in the bottle. It's just bucket specials, so much fun. And it's just sometimes like I just want to get out of the house. And then
Yeah.
sometimes I don't want to get out of the house. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just do both. I can go to my second home that has Miller Lite available easily and go to X Golf and play some golf too. It's the best of every world combined.
On the course, when I order a Miller Lite, I usually call it swing oil.
Oh yeah, swing
Turns out
juice.
it works the same at X Golf.
Yeah, for sure. You got a nice little rhythm going.
Yeah,
It
well,
worked out.
once I was not afraid anymore to hit the ceiling with my driver, I decided that it was going to be okay. I worry. I mean, tall guy problems,
Yeah,
they're real, man.
you're not a small person. The first time I met
No.
you, I was like, "Hey, Sasquatch, relax."
Yep, large mammal. Mhm. You haven't seen the best of Sasquatch yet, though. You feed me a bunch of Miller Lights on a golf course and a real
I cannot wait.
It's
Unleash
coming.
the beast. Unleash
It's
the beast.
unleash the beast. Legendary moments start with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/inside Wisconsin to find options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. How many strokes do I get if we go golfing? What's your
I'm
handicap?
not that good. My handicap says it's a 6. Like I don't believe it's a 6. I feel like
You
I'm more
saw
like
me
a
golf, right?
yeah. I mean, you weren't bad. You saw me golf. I think I was like even
If
on
we're
a
going to golf
sim.
18, I would expect a stroke per hole.
18 strokes. Oh my gosh. You must be drinking the Miller Lite already. If you think I'm giving you 18 strokes.
Dom Contronio joining us on the Inside Wisconsin podcast. Dom, you said you'd never stepped foot in Wisconsin before you moved here in 2021. I'd like to think you're hooked. Yeah?
Absolutely. I love it. I can't believe how much I love it. I'm a desert boy through and through. I grew up here in Arizona. Cold is not something in my DNA, but I did get some validation this winter where, like, man, like I'm always cold, like, period. Like, that's just a flaw of mine. But like this winter being as cold as it was, and it was like the first real winter that I dealt with, and hearing from other Wisconsinites, like, this was a bad winter. Like, this was bad. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm validated. Like, I understand what's a bad winter now, and not just like I'm always cold. Like, when it's 25 and 30 degrees, I hate it, but everyone's like, oh no, that's great. But what we had in January, I'm like, okay, I can put my hand up and say, yes, this was really, really bad.
It's not just it's the length we've had it for. I mean, November 29th, Mark Baden, our chief meteorologist, Milwaukee's chief, was saying since November 29th, it snowed 45% of the days. Like, that's horrible. And like me coming from Florida, I mean, I know you coming from the desert, like we're not used to that, but kind of like you, I just fell in love with the state. I mean, what is it about Wisconsin that you love most, besides obviously your fiance?
Well, it's funny. My fiance is not from Wisconsin, so
Oh,
we're
well,
both
never mind. You get rid of
transplants.
her. You can get rid
Bad
of her.
news.
No, I'm kidding.
It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out.
Not gonna work
So we're
out.
both transplants, but we're getting married in Wisconsin. So we got
All
that
right.
double dip. We're making everybody come to Wisconsin
Mazel
in
tov.
November. So that'll be fired up. But then the thing that I love about Wisconsin, and the thing that I think is just so cool, as somebody that grew up again in Phoenix, and there's a sense of pride, and there's a sense of, I don't want to say homebodiness, because I think that's underwhelming it, where sometimes in other cities that I've been in my travels across baseball, somebody says, oh, I never left my hometown. And some people hit that with a negative connotation. And some people think like, oh, why would you never leave your hometown? But then people say like, oh, I never left my hometown somewhere in Wisconsin, not just Southeast Wisconsin, but, Central and Toma, wherever it may be. And it's just like, it's simple. It's everything you need, nothing you don't. You get all 4 seasons. And if you want something a little extra, it's a drive away, whether you're closer to Minneapolis, whether you're closer to Chicago, whether you want to be on the lake, whether you want to be on the Driftless, whether you want to go up to Lake Superior. Like, there is something for everybody. And I think that's what I've loved so much about Wisconsin, is that it's truly what you make of it. I'll be honest, like, I'm not the biggest drinker in the world, but being able to taste, straight from the tap almost, of just like fresh, proper craft beer. Everyone can have their take about New Glarus. We don't have New Glarus down here, man. Like, having that was like a spiritual experience of just like, I get it now. Like, the beer here is just better, or it's just the old fashioned culture and the tailgate culture. Like, it is so cool to see it happen organically, passed from generation to generation.
The people that invented this stuff in Germany settled here and built breweries.
So they chose here. Isn't that awesome?
We've got it pretty figured out. Yeah, Miller Lite, big sponsor of Inside Wisconsin. Appreciate them. All right, speaking of Milwaukee, back to Milwaukee. What are the Brewers going to do this year? And maybe the first question is, do we know who's on third now?
I think we do. Today we actually talked to Luis Rengifo. It sounds like he's going to get the majority of reps at third base. And, there was all this talk, after the Caleb Durbin deal, like, you just traded your entire third base depth chart. Like, why would you do this? There was always something else in the works. People were automatically assuming they were going to trade for Isaac Paredes with the Houston Astros. Honestly, I never saw that as a fit, because I just don't think he fits what the Brewers tried to do. And for Rengifo, he's a buy low, high reward option where he can play a multitude of positions. He has a good sense of the strike zone. He does things that the Brewers already like. And the fact that he's probably banking on himself like, no, 2025 was a fluke year. The previous 3 seasons, he was a pretty good hitter.
Really
and that's
good.
all the Brewers
Really
are
good.
asking for. They're not asking for an aircraft carrier. They're asking for a guy that can get the job done at third, maybe hit league average and score some runs.
Yeah, I mean, look, 2025, he dealt with a lot of injuries. We just talked to him about that as well. And a change of scenery, I feel like, is an underrated thing. Like we saw with Andrew Vaughn last year. I mean, he was supposed to be White Sox everything. Then he couldn't do anything down in Chicago. He comes here, and he's next big thing. I wonder how much of that, Dom, is a product of, like, Pat Murphy. I mean, Pat Murphy all these new guys I talk to have a fun, unique Pat Murphy story. And I think there's something to be said for that, right?
I think with Murph and even the whole player development staff, there is something about the fact that everyone talks about the people here. Everyone talks about the camaraderie, the community that they have built here. And I don't think that's by accident. When they hired Pat Murphy 3 years ago, honestly, I was a little surprised. I thought he was going to be attached to Craig Counsell's hip, going down to Chicago. And I'm like, man, that's really interesting. And then the real deal breaker to me, and this isn't meant to be a slight at Craig, but the real deal breaker to me was that none of the assistant coaches left in that first year, that everybody stayed with Murph. Now, granted, Quentin Berry went down. We've seen some other small changes along the way, but none of them left. And I thought that spoke volumes, the continuity and the belief that, furthermore, a guy like Matt Erickson, right, Appleton's own, and grinded his way up from the minor league managerial ranks as an infield instructor, and then is now on the big league staff. Nestor Corridor, minor league manager, worked his way up, now on the bench. Like, this story happens so often where they believe in their player development, they believe in their coaches to give them every bit of confidence and belief in their ability to help get the best big league team on the field.
Matt Erickson might have the greatest one-hit story of all time. Do you know his story about Greg Maddux?
It's incredible.
Yeah. I feel like we were talking about that yesterday, right, Dom? Was that with you? I don't know. I think it was with you.
I briefly caught up with Matty yesterday. I mean, he loves to tell it anytime you hear it. It's so much better for him. Okay. But it's just like, man, that dude is giving knowledge to guys too, given all the baseball that he's seen, not just, briefly in the show. It's just like he's seen plenty of minor league ball. He's been through the grind. He's been through that sort of thing. So when guys are like down on their luck, like I had a big conversation with Pete Strzelecki today, old favorite from the 2021 team. Like, yeah, he's been through the wilderness too, and he wanted to come back here. I think that speaks volumes to the rest of the league.
Truth.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Jake Bowers about that as well. Like, just people want to be here. Even talking to a bunch of the new guys, because obviously that's going to be a big story we'll be talking about on Channel 12. Like, there's a lot of new faces, there's still a lot of old faces, but guys respect the Brewers. And if, Dom, we talk about like 10, 15, 20 years ago, I don't think the Brewers have this type of respect around the league.
I think that what has happened since David Stearns took over and now into Matt Arnold is that the Brewers looked themselves in the mirror, and 2011 was fun. Obviously, it didn't go all the way. But then they hit that lull, and injuries were a part of 2012 and the chaos with Ryan in 2013 and everything. But the point being is that they never wanted to hit that lull again. They never wanted to go like, okay, we can't wait 7 years between playoff appearances. We can't be doing this every time, given how long it was, between 82 and beyond. So the thought is, let's make sure we always have a chance to win on opening day. And I think that is something that players appreciate too, where, you hear these stories around the league where it's like, yeah, I signed with this team early in the offseason and then they tore it down and then we're not going to be competing anymore. And now I'm going to be on the trading block. Like, that's no fun. Guys here know competition always breeds success. If you're not good enough, the guy behind you is probably good enough, and he's going to help win games. Now, if you're good enough, you get to appreciate that little piece of the pie and have some fun with it too. Competition and belief of, hey, let's make the guys figure it out. The best man win moving on. And it's not just like, hey, well, we're paying this guy $45 million. He has to play every day. And, not to name names, but like, hey, Juan Soto's a negative defender. Like, he has to play the outfield because they got no room for him. So you get hamstrung by some things like that. And I think it's a blessing in disguise what the Brewers have going on.
All right, I'm going to do a little rapid fire with both of you here. So when I say a name, just give me real quick what your thoughts are for the 2026 season. First one's Woody.
Opening day starter / needs to be the anchor of the rotation.
Yeah, workhorse. He's going to have to be the workhorse.
Miz?
All-star part 2.
Goofy. He's so goofy. I love how goofy he is. Like, I was talking to him yesterday. He was like, yeah, I got engaged. I was like, what? You got engaged? Like, I know he posted a ring, but it's like, yeah, no big deal. Got engaged. We'll see what happens.
Double dip on that. He went in blind. Like, he didn't ask, he went in and said, like, I want to get a ring. I want to get an engagement ring. Like, he didn't ask his fiance, like, what does she like? Didn't bring her shopping. Didn't have her try on some rings. Like, no, I just winged it. I'm like, all right, that's a good use of all-star bonus money. Good job, man.
And I asked him how he did it. He goes, I don't know. I said, will you marry me? Like, you goofball.
Josh and I talked
that's all that matters.
Josh and I talked about this on the radio. Is Yelly still in his prime?
Yes. I think last year proved it. And I think, I don't know if it's going to be 30 and 100 or near that again this year, but a Yelly that has 20 to 25 homers with 80 to 100 RBIs in his age 34 season is super valuable.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's really embraced that DH role. And Dom, I know we were talking about yesterday with Murph. I mean, he's embraced it. He played 19 games in the outfield, or started 19 games in the outfield last year. And Murph's like, yeah, I mean, we kind of see that number being the same, but they have so much outfield depth. But yeah, I think Yelich, the hitter Yelich, is still in his prime.
All right, one more rapid fire, then one more question for you, Dom, as we wrap up our Brewers season preview episode of Inside Wisconsin. Who's the sleeper?
Ooh. I've been trying to wrap my brain around this all spring because it's like there aren't position battles now that they've signed Rengifo. Like, there's a lot to look out, but like the name that I just keep landing on, and I sit here and go, what if Garrett Mitchell is healthy?
Seriously.
That's a good one. Yeah. Man, I haven't even thought about that. My mind is yelling David Hamilton, just because you lose Mona and you need like that guy that could be all over the place. I think Hamilton fits that role. I'll go Hamilton. Hamilton, lock it in.
Dom, 1 is random, 2 is coincidence, 3 is a trend. How do the 2026 Milwaukee Brewers do what they did not only in 25, but also what they did in 24 again this season?
The things that I look at for how a team is going to make the playoffs go to, number one, their pitching staff, right? The Brewers, yes, they lose Freddie Peralta, but aside from that, they didn't get worse on the pitching staff. I don't think, I would argue they got a little better. And the best part is everybody aside from Brandon Woodruff is back in 2027. So this entire staff, pretty much everyone's going to start a game for the Brewers aside from Woody, is back next year. So that's the first thing I start with. They've got depth and they've got experience at the rotation. Number 2 is their bullpen. You've got 2 bona fide closer types with Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill. It seems like we talk about this every year, where first it was, Jeffress and Hader, and then it was Hader and Williams, and now it's, then it was Williams and McGill. Now it's McGill and Uribe. Like, the train keeps on going, in addition to all the other nasty arms they have back there. And then finally, can the offense do enough? I think we're also, another sleeper pick could have been William Contreras. Like, he was playing through the whole year hurt last year, and that's why his power numbers went down, and that's why he wasn't quite the same player. But the dude's a fireball. The dude wants to be the best catcher in baseball. He wants to catch every single game. And I think that we underrate this offense because, yes, it's not going to be at the top of the slugging leaderboards. It's not going to hit the most home runs, but they play a brand of baseball that infuriates other teams where it's like, okay, oh God, okay, Bryce Terang and Jackson Churio at the top of this order. Man, those are some really good hitters. Oh God, Yelly's right behind him. Resurgent Andrew Vaughn. Jake Bowers, who can rake. Oh, here's Garrett Mitchell coming up. And it's just like, oh, then here at the bottom of the order, Pesky Sal Frelick. Like, that's a dynamic lineup.
And a switch hitting Renjifo.
Right. That's a dynamic lineup. And I think, again, they're not going to be the top of the offenses, but it's good enough. And I think that winning the offseason doesn't mean you win games. Ask the Chicago Cubs about winning last offseason.
You don't say that.
They're going to win this year, Dom, though. They're going to win this year.
I just sit here. Am I taking crazy pills? We're saying the exact same things we said last year.
Yep.
I love it. Dom Contronio, Dario Melendez, Dario.
It's funny. My mom calls me Dario, and anybody before high school calls me Dario, but everybody after high school calls me Dario.
That's why I said Dario. I just wanted to see if you had a reaction or not.
Yeah. Hey, man. Hi, Mom. Mommy.
Hey, I was going to say, great. What could go wrong? I reminded you of your mother. That's perfect. Let's do a show together. All right. Before we go, I don't know are you guys allowed to turn your phones around and show everybody where you're sitting right now?
Oh yeah, if you guys want to be jealous, I mean, let me.
I think
let me see if I
know how to flip this damn thing.
I'll just
turn around. There we go.
Punks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, notice.
I think Dom's over there.
Professional move over here. I sat in the shade. You know.
Well, I was going for the lighting. Lighting, bro. You gotta have the lighting.
It's level lighting. I'm not red as a tomato now, so it all worked out.
Touche.
Dario is. All right, boys. Go Brewers. We appreciate this. As you were, Wisconsin season can't get here soon enough. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Trevor.